What does this have to do with anything?
All I know is yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. How did Robert Zadar get from the...
Yeah, is this a flashback or something? What the shit is going on here? What was the thing in the desert?
Well, that was the Dragonfight. I don't know what this is. I don't know.
No one knows. No one has any idea what's going on in this movie.
There's plenty of other places to go.
That's not the plan.
Why do they give a shit about this factory?
Indeterminate. Where's all the video feeds coming from? How are they watching? How is this part of the Dragonfight when they're not allowed to have firearms? Or bras?
I don't know how any of this relates to anything else.
I feel like we missed something.
I feel like we've missed many things. We've been watching this movie for like an hour, and there were opportunities to explain what the fuck is going on, and they just chose not to do it.
Well, how do you get the girls back?
Yeah, and
what the fuck?
doesn't make any sense.
I think something was askew in the editing room floor.
What the fuck is going on here?
How is he there?
How is he there and also dead?
I don't know. I'm glad you have to summarize this thing at the end.
I can't. I've been writing stuff down, trying to think of what the hell's going on here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Booze, Bullshit, and B-Movies podcast. I'm Brandon, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend Steve.
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
And this week, we are going to spend some more time with our good friend Robert Zadar.
Excellent.
And check out a movie called Dragonfight. But before we get into that, Steve, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How are you with, like, coffee?
I enjoy coffee.
But, I mean, like, the physical addiction to the coffee.
Oh, I'm fine.
Oh, right?
Yeah, like, my wife, love you, sweetheart. I'm sure you're really going to listen to this, but Brandon's going to edit this so I sound even worse. But, yeah, she's like, oh, I got to have my coffee before I start today. I got to do this. It's like, sometimes I forget, and it's like noon, and I'm like, oh, I didn't have any coffee. No big deal.
No, okay, because... So yesterday, we had some stuff going on, and I didn't have my coffee in the morning.
Yep.
What I usually do is like a good 6 ounces of espresso and then a bunch of milk on top of that.
Okay.
But I didn't have that yesterday morning because I was trying to start this intermittent fasting thing.
Yep.
You know, to lose a little weight before the spring comes along. So I didn't have my coffee in the morning, and then we got...
You know, if you get rid of that milk, the coffee doesn't count on your intermittent fasting.
Well, I can't do that. And then we had some stuff to do, whatever, and it was like 11 o'clock. And I said, well, I'll just skip it, whatever, it's fine. Later in the day, you texted me to ask if I wanted to do the podcast yesterday or today.
Yep.
And I was, at that time, literally just walking around in like a haze. Where I had no idea what was going on around me. I was at Safeway, just kind of like spacing out. I had no idea what was going on. And I was starting to get a headache from not having the caffeine. And so we couldn't do the podcast yesterday because I would have sat here just drooling on myself.
You, sir, are what we call an addict.
Yeah. Yes.
I enjoy coffee, but I haven't noticed that sort of side effect if I forget to partake or don't have it available.
Sure. Yeah, I ended up texting my sister because she... as a personal choice, does not drink coffee, has never drank coffee, will never drink coffee. So I had to text her and I was like, you walk around like this all day? Like every day on purpose?
We love you, Amanda.
Yeah, I guess I'm just addicted to uppers. Otherwise I can't get through the day.
Maybe it's something in the milk.
Maybe.
Because Chris is like, hers is half milk, half coffee.
Could be.
So, maybe that's what it is.
Although being from Wisconsin, that can't be it.
Who knows? Does Amanda drink milk in the morning? Does she do tea, perhaps?
I don't know. Amanda, my sister, call in to this podcast this week and tell us on our Spotify account if you drink milk.
Yep. We will not accept text messages or phone calls to either of our cell phones, nor Facebook direct messages, other than the Booze, Bullshit, and B-Movies account.
Absolutely. What else is new at your place?
was part of the jet set this week. Flew out, quick trip to Salt Lake City to watch Emma and Arizona State play against the Utah Skating Utes.
Okay, how was that?
It was pretty good, pretty good. They won both games, and Emma got some decent playing time, which is nice.
They seem to win a lot over there.
They do. Second game was closer. It was only 3-2 was the final. First one was 3-1. Utah's goalie was phenomenal. We put nearly 60 shots on her.
Oh, wow.
On the game on Friday, and it was low 50s on Saturday. And so, yeah, so
what were their skaters doing this whole time?
watching us shoot on their goaltender. If we had a stopwatch, even in the 3-2 game, I think we had the puck in their zone probably 45 of the 60 minutes of playtime.
Well,
It's
a fun game to watch, at least, if you're on one side.
Yeah, it was good. And shout out to my buddy from Ohio State Geology School, Scott O'Neill, for letting me crash at his place and his lovely wife, Julie. So
that's nice of him.
It was nice to hang out with Scott for a couple or 24 hours or so. They came to watch the second game, and
Nice.
that was nice. And I'll give Scott a shout out. It's his 59th birthday today as we record. So
Well, happy birthday, Scott.
So happy birthday, Scott! You magnificent bastard. That's what I've got going on. Chris is flying out this weekend to watch Emma play. She made the better choice. She's flying to Phoenix in the winter to watch her play. I went to Salt Lake City, but it was nice weather there.
Yeah.
And then my mom's going to come visit next week, so that should be fun.
Oh, well.
But she's going to actually fly down and watch games with her in Phoenix, and then come back up with Chris and hang out here for a week.
No, that's cool.
So yeah, should be good. How about you guys? What are you up to?
Oh, we haven't really been doing much this week. We've just been the usual stuff, driving our kids back and forth to their activities. Libby got her yellow belt advancement today, so
Congratulations, Libby.
I missed out on. Well, I didn't miss out. I mean, I wasn't there, but whatever. It's fine.
I'm sure she showed it to you when you got home, and
She did.
tried to kick you in the shin.
She was very excited when she came in the door. She was yelling, "Look what I got!" Whatever and all that. So.
Excellent. Good for her.
So yeah, she has really taken to Taekwondo. She still says she's a hockey player because she wants to be like Emma, but she's doing Taekwondo like 4 days a week now.
Nice.
So,
Well, if it ever during a game turns into kung fu fighting, she's all set.
yeah, that's true.
Oh, and I almost forgot. I'll give a shout out to John, my son John. John is also a hockey player and scored his first varsity goal
Nice.
over the weekend while I was gone. So that's not bad for a freshman defenseman. So,
Yeah.
And got player of the game for that one. So
Yeah, cool.
We'll take it.
Yeah, but beyond that, just the same stuff on the weekends, back and forth to hockey practice, back and forth to play dates. I don't know how we're going to get Libby to stop running around, but she had on Saturday Taekwondo, then hockey practice, then a get together with a friend of hers from school at the Urban Air spot for 3.5 hours.
Jesus.
And then she came home and had 4 chicken nuggets and said she was good.
Alrighty then.
So
No wonder she weighs 15 pounds.
yeah, exactly.
She's a little tyke, that's for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about Dragonfight, which seems to be a poor man's Gladiator mixed with a poor man's Running Man.
Yeah, so Dragonfight is a 1990 direct-to-video movie. It was actually shot on 35mm film, so we'll call it a movie. It wasn't shot on a schlocky VHS camera, so that's good. Comes in at a tight 1 hour, 23 minutes. We could not find any sort of budgeting type information on this bad boy, other than ultra low.
I think the internet is trying to make this movie disappear.
Yeah, yes. Dragonfight comes in at a 3.4 out of 10 rating on IMDb. It has no ratings at all on that Metacritic, nor on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, there's not a lot out there.
And this movie is actually the thing that killed Roger Ebert.
It may have been. It may have been. So Dragonfight is directed by Warren Stevens. Warren is kind of the polar opposite of Peter Jackson. He's had 3 directorial credits.
And none of them were multi-billion-dollar international blockbusters?
Strangely enough, no. But what Warren is known for, he's more of a stunt coordinator
Okay.
and a stunt player. So he had 36 credits out of like 60 some as a stunt coordinator. The rest were in there as somebody doing stunts. So he has made a bit of a name for himself on the stunt side of things. This was written by Bud Lewis, who is more of an art department guy. He wrote one other film, the screenplay for one other film, and it was called ROTOR, R-O-T-O-R, and that stands for Robotic Officer Tactical Operation Resource. It's basically a poor man's RoboCop.
This crew sounds like the sort of thing that happens when cross-training goes wrong.
I think you're right. Coincidentally, I don't know who got the idea first, but ROTOR and RoboCop were released within a couple of months of each other.
Oh, really?
So this goes for our stars in this blockbuster. We go back to our good friend Robert Zadar as Lakabar. And, we talked about Robert in our past podcast there of Samurai Cop. I'm not going to go through all of Robert's facts and whatnot, but remember, he's the guy with the big genetically deformed chin. Robert, he's been in 124 different acting roles throughout his career. Most notably, Tango and Cash, Hollywood Cops, American Murder Maniac Cop, and of course, Samurai Cop, because you can't forget about that bad boy there. Then we've got Paul Kalfos as Falcone. He was the scientist in Chopping Mall.
Oh, so there's more of that RoboCop-y kind of connection.
Correct. Paul had just a ton of 70s and 80s TV spots, just bit roles, 1 or 2 episodes here or there. But, he was on at least an episode of all of the awesome TV from my youth. The original Battlestar Galactica, Black Sheep Squadron, The Incredible Hulk, more of my grandmother's age, the Quincy Medical Examiner, $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, The Rockford Files. Remember that? Did you ever watch that? And it's probably a bit beyond.
I did not.
It was reruns when I was a kid, but the coolest thing about it was he had an answering machine, and that was cool as shit in the late 70s.
I see in your notes here you've got The Incredible Hunk written.
Oh, I certainly did. So that is a typo.
Okay, so it wasn't like some sort of an adult film parody of The Incredible Hulk?
I don't believe so. But, who knows? Maybe he did. He was on an episode of Fantasy Island and even ER. So,
he stuck with it for a while.
Career stuck with it there. We got Michael Parr as Moore Park. This dude, 205 acting credits. Mostly low budget. But his big claim to fame was he was Eddie in Eddie and the Cruisers. I've never seen that movie, but I know of it. And Michael got his start. He had a recurring role, 30 episodes worth, on Greatest American Hero.
Well, and this seems like sort of the opposite of Samurai Cop, where everyone who was in Samurai Cop, except for Robert Zadar's career, died that day.
Yep.
These guys actually made a career out of it.
All of them kept going after this schlock.
They were at least employed actors.
Then there's a ton of people who just had a couple of acting credits. There's Fauna McLaren. She plays Dark Servant. She has 3 acting credits, but 13 Playboy pictorials.
Now, did you have those magazines under your mattress when you were a kid?
I did not. Then we've got Joe Cortez as Babington. He was in American History X and Green Book. So we get some guys that are in. As we're heading into there, some guys that were actually in some decent films here. There's George, quote unquote, Buck Flower, and he's only listed as the narrator. We got Tom McGee as Bull. He was the 1982 World Powerlifting Champion and a runner-up in the 1982 World's Strongest Man competition. I'm sure he lost to some dude from Iceland, but he could squat 860 pounds for his max and bench press 573 pounds. So that's a pretty strong dude.
Yeah, he's probably stronger than me today still.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even though he's in his 80s.
He's probably dead. And then our biggest actor on here is James Hong as Asawa. 459 acting credits.
Yeah, I recognize that guy immediately. I've seen him in a ton of stuff.
He's a dude from Minnesota, but anytime you call for some sort of Asian-looking dude as a character actor, James is your man. Most recently, he's been known for being Mr. Ping on the Kung Fu Panda movies. He was in The Art of War. He was kind of the sensei kind of guy in Bloodsport 2 and 3. He was also in Tango and Cash with Robert Zadar. And he also was in a bazillion of my childhood television awesomeness. Miami Vice, Magnum P.I., Airwolf, A-Team, Black Sheep Squadron, the original Kung Fu, did an episode of X-Files, the original MacGyver. He was in Dukes of Hazzard, which, who knew they had an Asian dude in Dukes of Hazzard ever? Did episodes of Dallas, Fantasy Island, Hawaii Five-0. He played Charlie Chan's brother in the New Adventures of Charlie Chan in the 1950s. And he was the host guy on the Seinfeld episode. Was it Seinfeld 4? When they were stuck in the Chinese restaurant forever trying to get a table. Well, James has been around for quite a while, and we're going to get some more information about him here in just a few minutes. Tagline for this: a brutal vision of the future for the corporate warriors. It's a fight to the death. Then we got our fun facts. Filmed in Glen Canyon, Arizona. Desert landscape down there. Really, really cool geology. As was Planet of the Apes, the original 1968 Planet of the Apes. Parts of Outlaw Josie Wales. Broken Arrow. The
Christian Slater
and John Travolta.
John Travolta.
Yes, when they were trying to steal the nuclear device. And part of Greatest Story Ever Told. So this is a famous filming location.
The dirt is more famous than pretty much anyone in this movie.
Except for James Hong. Which brings us to our fun facts about James. Born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He was in the Army during the Korean War. And then when he came back, decided to move to L.A. He was trying to be part of a comedy duo. That didn't work out at all. His day job was he was an L.A. County traffic engineer for a couple of years. Started getting some acting gigs. He was one of 7 founding members of the East West Players, which is an Asian American theater company in LA, which was started in 1965, and it's still in operation today. So he's got a little legacy going on there. He was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on May 10th, 2022, at the age of 93, which makes him the oldest ever to receive that honor. And it should be noted, he is 31 years older than the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So
well, there you go.
He's been around there. James has appeared in 5 films that were nominated for the Best Picture Oscar, which, other than Peter Jackson, I don't think we've had a single person that's been nominated for an Academy Award in any of our films
I can't imagine.
we have reviewed. Maybe some of the guys in Apocalypse, but not this one. And then in 2023, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once won for Best Picture. Did not see that one either. This is pretty cool. James Hong has appeared in 4 films that were selected by the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And those 4 films are Flower Drum Song of 1961, 1974's Chinatown, 1980's Airplane, and 1982's Blade Runner.
What was he in Airplane?
I think he was probably one of the Japanese guys in the flashback scenes, would be my guess. I don't remember specifically. Now, I'm not saying he had huge roles in those, but he did have a pretty significant role in Blade Runner, if I remember correctly. Then we've got our reviews of this bad boy. I saw nary a legitimate reviewer. Like, nobody from RogerEbert.com, nobody from...
No, hang on. James Hong was the guy in the military uniform that committed seppuku when the main character was telling him his stories.
Oh shit, you're right. You're right. So there were no mainstream media reviews of this. So we had to dig deep. So I found a website called The Movie Mark. And I think I'm sorry, not the website. This was just a member of IMDb who goes by the handle of The Movie Mark. He says, unless you like a 5-minute premise stretched out into 83 minutes by showing repetitive shots of people running in the desert and climbing hills, then I suggest you avoid this one by any means necessary. Robert Abel of TV Guide, so I guess that's the most mainstream. Action-hungry viewers should also be annoyed, since this means that one of the main contenders spends most of the film avoiding mayhem, not seeking it. Uselessly padding out the running time are many postcard shots of cliff formations, sunsets, and wide-skied landscapes.
Well, there you go. I think you might enjoy this movie for the geology.
I think I will for that. That and that alone. And then Mitch from the Video Vacuum blog says, the biggest sin Dragonfight commits is that it wastes an awesome cast. We have Michael Parr as the corporate stooge who creates Dragonfight. Even though he's second billed and has his face on the video box, all he really does is sit around watching TV while frowning a lot. They basically said that James Hong does the same thing. Mitch says that. Then Mitch goes on to say, the only thing saving this atrocious movie from a 1/2 star rating is the fact that a good deal of it revolves around Robert Z'Dar running around in a chainmail suit of armor.
And speaking of that chainmail suit of armor,
Yes.
I think that costume was borrowed from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I saw some references to that, of course. And then this was kind of loosely attributed to Joel from Mystery Science Theater 3000. This movie is just sitting on my head and crushing it. That pretty much sums up my feelings on Dragonfight. So why don't you give us a plot summary there, Brandon?
Well, the plot of this movie, such that it is, in the future, large corporations earn millions of dollars by staging gladiatorial fights to the death that are shown on worldwide television. One day, however, a fighter who is scheduled to hunt and kill an opponent in the Arizona desert decides he's had enough and makes a run for it. His opponent is then instructed to track him down and kill him.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So if you want to join us in watching this anticipated masterpiece, your options are a bit limited. You can spend about $30 on a used copy on Amazon, or you can go to YouTube and watch it for free. That's it.
Well, that's what we'll do, I think.
No Tubi, no Amazon Prime video rental, no anything else.
The estate of Robert Z'Dar is trying to get this movie scrubbed from the internet completely.
They're doing a hell of a job, but it is available for free on YouTube. So there you go.
Well, with the preliminaries out of the way, why don't we run over to the bar and grab a drink?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Steve, here we are at the bar again. So what are we going to have this week?
Well, this week, in honor of Dragonfight, we're going to do the Dragon's Breath cocktail.
Ooh.
Now, this bad boy, I've seen a couple different recipes, so I kind of decided to bastardize it our way.
Okay.
So this is Dragon's Breath cocktail a la Booze, BS, and B movies. You take 2 ounces of bourbon, a 1/4 ounce of an Elderflower Liqueur, 1/4 ounce of an orange flavored liqueur. So I think this is our 3rd week in a row with orange flavored liqueur.
We're rocking the orange liqueur.
A 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, and to make this extra special, I made a smoky simple syrup. And then a couple dashes of bitters. Now, the recipe calls for Angostura bitters, but I think I'm going to use orange because it just seems to make more sense to go with the orange liqueur.
And I see you've got a creme brulee torch here. What are we doing with that?
I do. In order to make this the Dragon's Breath cocktail, we are smoking the cocktail glass. So I have one going already. So I've got some applewood chips that I put into my fancy little cocktail smoker, and it is smoking on a large rock. We've got a large rock in a brandy snifter style glass, and we're going to drink it that way. So the original recipe calls for the Angostura bitters, put in a brandy sniffer, put the smoke in there, and then pour your cocktail in it neat. We kind of enjoy our things on the rocks. So, this is essentially an old fashioned. But it's a fancy old fashioned. So that's
I
what
like
we're gonna
fancy
go
old
with.
fashions.
Yes, we are nothing but fancy around here and old fashioned. So,
My mother-in-law would hate this.
oh yeah, this has nothing. This is as far away from a Wisconsin old fashioned as you could get.
Not a can of Sprite to be seen for miles.
Nor maraschino cherries or oranges to muddle. So, okay, so there's our 2 ounces of bourbon. I'm going to put a 1/4 ounce thereabouts of the Elderflower Liqueur, which actually the way I pour it ends up being closer to a 1/2 ounce because 1/4 ounce is a very small measure. And so since I went heavy on that, I'll go a little heavy on the orange liqueur as well. And then our smoked simple syrup.
Well, for an activity that started during the COVID pandemic, the heavy pour is, kind of just culturally appropriate.
Oh, exactly. 2 dashes of orange bitters. So it's in our mixing glass with some ice.
Well, this is like the other times that we've made these sorts of like smoked cocktails, more intricate sort of drinks. They'll get sort of sloppy as we go along.
I had 2 of them last night, and I managed to get both of them equally smoky. So.
All right, Steve. Well, the presentation of this cocktail was just fantastic.
Thank you.
If it tastes half as good as it looked pouring it, I think we're in for a treat.
Cheers.
That is good.
Yeah.
I do like this one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You got to be careful not to take a big inhale with your nostrils in there. You'll get a huge thing of smoke to start out with. But the smokiness just kind of, it plays on the sweetness of the orange.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
I would definitely drink this again.
Excellent. So, with that, let's go watch this movie.
This is the part where we watch the movie.
I don't know if that's dehydrated. I think you're overhydrated.
All right, ready to talk about this?
Yeah.
I guess. What a fucking mess. All right, Steve, we just finished watching Dragonfight.
Yes, we did.
And this is the part where we would ordinarily go through the storyline.
There is no fucking storyline.
No, there isn't. I wrote like 2 or 3 things down about this movie. One of the things that I wrote was it looked like there were 2 different movies going on, and they both sucked, and then someone took them and mushed them together.
Yeah.
Because what we do here is we start the movie with some guys in this boardroom probably bickering over some stupid shit about betting on something.
They were talking about Bushido and the...
Oh, that's right, yeah. They were talking about the code of the Bushido.
Yeah.
Just like in Samurai Cop.
Right.
And then they had this argument outside this factory where Robert Zadar's character wants to take over this factory and these other people want to defend this factory, but nobody explains fucking why anyone gives a single shit about this factory.
Yep. There were some stolen guns and there was a chase. There was a cool old truck.
There was a cool old truck.
And a Ford version of El Camino, whatever the fuck that is. And some precision shotgun shots from about 100 meters away.
And then, so they decide they're going to have this fight, this dragon fight. And people have to pick their fighters, right? So Robert Zadar is one of the fighters. This Falcon guy is one of the fighters. But no one knows why they're holding this event. They're betting, people are gambling on it.
Yep, there's some Americans and some Japanese.
So then there's a gunfight at this factory. People are fighting over this factory and no one explains why. There's 50 people outside the factory, 5 people inside the factory, and they're shooting at each other, but nobody knows why.
Right.
Then after that, there is Zadar at a poker game.
Yep.
Where he's talking shit to the guy about gambling on a fight.
And that's where he comes up with the battle in the ring, where it's going to be like a battle royale wrestling style, but, well, more like a blood sport style, with a $500,000 purse with 6 spectators.
Yeah, and then so there's more gunfights at this factory that is completely unrelated to anything else in the entire movie. And then they jump back and forth after that to Zadar's character is in the desert, like talking shit to this Falchion guy, whatever.
Well, I think we should separate Zadar into the 3 characters that he played. There was Chainmail Desert Zadar.
Mm-hmm.
There was watching the battle royale with the bikini chick Zadar.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the third one? Those drinks were strong. There was a third one. There was Street Tuft, leader of the street gang.
Yeah,
trying to get into the factory Zadar, and they all seem to be in the different places at the same time.
Yeah, like there was the scene where Zadar's character fell on the axe and was stabbed in the back and died, but at the same time he was on the TV screen doing some other shit at one of these stupid MMA fights.
Yeah. One of the reviewers guys summarizing this, he must have watched it several times because he got more of it than I did. But was saying that dark servant, the
lady with the cleavage in the desert.
Yes. She kept resurrecting him so he could come back and keep fighting Falcone,
But the Falcone guy
didn't want to fight.
He was just walking through the desert.
Yep. He was kind of like the David Carradine Kung Fu guy.
Yeah, there were all those... So it was basically just bouncing back and forth with Zadar's character trying to find someone to fight in this event. And then he's in the desert fighting the Falcon guy.
Yep.
And then he's back ringside watching this MMA fight.
Well, and then he's leading the street toughs trying to get into the factory.
But none of it is explained. None of it is in any kind of chronological order. And then you occasionally bounce back to either the white dudes in the office room or the Japanese dudes in their corporate headquarters bitching about the progress of this fight that isn't happening and how they're all losing millions of dollars on it.
Yes.
So then after all of this, there is some terribly CGI'd flames, and Robert Zadar's face is put over the Japanese guys' heads on the screen, and that apparently indicates that every one of the people who were gambling on these fights was somehow killed in a fire, and then the movie ends.
Yes.
There was no explanation of how the fire started.
Or why.
Or
who may have said it.
Anything.
Nope.
It was just scene in the desert, scene at ringside, scene at the desert, scene at ringside, fire, end.
Yep. So I wrote one word on my paper here. Incoherent. I actually wrote a couple other things. But that was the main one I wrote. Was incoherent.
If you were doing a word cloud of the things that I wrote in my notes here, the largest word in the center of the word cloud would be why.
I think yours would have been WTF. That was less coherent than Wrong Cops.
Yeah.
I still think Wrong Cops was worse.
Oh, Wrong Cops was worse.
But it was incoherent. And you could tell it was straight to video just by the TV aspect ratio that it was shown in.
You could tell it was straight to VHS because it sucked.
Well, there's that too.
Like, I don't know who would... When did this come out? Like 1990 or whatever?
1990, yeah.
I don't know who would, in 1990, go to their local AMC theater and pay hard-earned money to watch this.
Well, if I was working the box office, I would have said, don't waste your fucking money. Now, this was a horrible movie. There was one funny line.
There were a few bits in it that were, like, sort of like the Samurai Cop. Like, this is so shitty, I'm going to laugh at this.
Yes. But it was not as entertaining as Samurai Cop.
Oh, no, it wasn't nearly consistent enough in that.
That being said, there were the bones of a good story on here. You could have taken the Dragonfight concept, the rollerball style, international, corporations are running everything, but they need to battle the bread and circuses for the masses, right? Mm-hmm. You could have taken that concept and I think made a good movie out of it.
Well, you could have made Running Man.
Yeah. But with swords.
You could have made Running Man with swords.
And, there were great views of Lake Powell and Glen Canyon. And
that was the other thing I wrote down was nice scenery.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of nice scenery. There were a few moments in the movie that made you laugh because it was so shitty. But as far as like trying to watch a movie that had like a chronological timeline that made sense, this was not it.
No. And I don't think it was a non-chronological movie by choice. Like Tarantino will do that where he bounces back and forth. This was not that.
No, it was not.
There was no semblance of a storyline or a plot, which is odd because Bud Lewis, who is the writer of this, like his claim to fame is he does like the storyboards for all these successful movies.
Sure.
What the fuck?
Yeah, because, like, you know, whatever. There was the one scene in the desert where the Falcon guy met the woman and her uncle or whatever in the pickup, and then he told them to fuck off. And then, whatever, they skipped 2 other scenes, and then they came back to the desert, and suddenly he was riding in the truck with them.
Yep. After Zadar had been carrying her around for a while.
Yeah, like...
No, it made no sense. It was not entertaining.
As we talked about last week, I think that the 3-tiered system is insufficient to grade these movies. But I haven't come up with a better idea yet.
Yeah. So
in the interim, if we're just going to give it, like, say, a 1 through 5 score, where do you put this guy?
0.5. If we go with our kind of, like, bar theme, this is the stuff you got to mop out of the drain at the end of the night because the drain is clogged. Not from the bathroom, but from the bar. You know, it's the schlock. I agree with the one reviewer who said there was a lot of talent in the cast of this movie.
Weirdly, yes.
And there was so much you could have done. There was so much talent in the cast, and there was 0 talent in the director and writer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know in 1990 what James Hong's status was in Hollywood, but he must have come to work every day and been like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I think he came to work one day, and that was it.
Well, that's true. He did only do the scenes in that office room.
Yeah, he was not used appropriately. And this was after he did Airplane and Blade Runner. So it was a bit of a lull in his career.
He was just bored, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe.
I mean, they couldn't have paid him any money.
No.
They
couldn't have paid any of these guys any money.
Here's $12. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Here's my frequent sub club. I've got a
free like we'll give you free parking.
Here, Robert Zadar, you can take the chainmail hat home.
But so yeah, if we're doing like some sort of a 5-tier system and to come up with a better idea, well,
it's a 1.
It's a 1-ish. Like this is our 11th movie we watched.
Yep.
If I'm judging it based on the quality of the movies we've watched thus far, it's better than Wrong Cops, but it is not. It's a Apocalypse, basically.
Yeah, I would rank Apocalypse ahead of this.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a close race. So this is probably out of the 10 or 11 movies we've watched so far, the second worst one.
Yeah. It may be even a tie for the worst. I don't know. Wrong Cops is still worse. That's right. Yeah. So this is the second worst. This movie sucked.
Because this movie was like Wrong Cops was worse because it was like, I don't know, like the attitude of the movie.
Yeah.
Made it seem like it was hoity-toity or something.
It was filmed better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
When the movie stopped, it's probably been 5 minutes since the movie was over. I just kind of sat here with my mouth agape.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say. Do not watch this movie.
The best part is that when the movie ends and you have to sit and think about it for a minute, you get to listen to the song. I look at my enormous penis and everything is going to be okay.
So I guess there is some sort of philosophy for life in that.
Yeah. Always look on the bright side of life.
That's right. So I'm giving it a 0.5 to 1. What are you giving it?
Yeah, I mean, if we're doing a 3-tier system, it gets a 1. If it's 5 tiers, it's a 1. If it's 100 tiers, it gets a 1.
So you're saying it's a 1?
So on a scale of 0 to 1 billion, it's a 1.
Yeah, this movie fucking sucks. Robert Zadar was awesome in it, though. I will say that.
He
showed range.
He had some range. He played several different characters, including like some guy on a sci-fi kids show
with a set that was obviously Legos.
Yeah, where he was like a captain of a starship or something.
I would like to see that movie. actually.
I would like to see anything other than
He played a
Dragonfight.
Miami Vice ripoff.
yeah.
He played a Don King ripoff. He played...
He had a ton of costumes.
Yeah. He was definitely the star of the movie.
Yeah. Yes.
Quote unquote.
He was definitely the star of the movie for what they had for stars.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, really. But I guess with that will wrap it up for this week's episode.
Now, and everybody, Brandon requested a bad movie, so we
got one. Ask and ye shall receive.
And this came up when I was researching Samurai Cop, and I was kind of going down a rabbit hole with that, and with the Robert Zadar, and it came up, and I watched a few minutes of it, like the first 10 minutes. I'm like, this thing is awful. We got to watch it.
And there was that, I don't know where I saw it, but someone did say this was Robert Zadar's finest performance. And he does his own stunts.
Well, there you go. He obviously doesn't sharpen his own axe.
But so like I said, we do appreciate you guys listening in to this.
Definitely.
This was a rough one, but you stuck it out to this point, so good on you.
Yeah. This was 82 minutes that should have been about 12.
Yeah, that's what that one review said. Yeah. It was like a 5-minute story they made 83 minutes long for no friggin' reason.
This could have been a short.
This could have been somebody writing a note down on a Post-it and been like, "Nah, fuck it, that's dumb."
If you would have kept like the desert fight scene aspect of it, but flesh that out more.
Sure,
I think that would have worked.
Yes, it would have worked if somebody would have made a good movie instead of a shitty one.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well, until next week, we'll look forward to talking to you guys in a few days. And with that, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Steve.
Stay fresh, cheese balls.
That was fucking horrible.
You brought this evil to our doorsteps.
Yes, this movie is the evil that was brought to our doorsteps.
He needs to be more specific about what evil he's discussing.
Right.